Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Muchi Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. So we will be concluding today this chapter 18. So we are on the page 195. Last class, we only had about half an hour. I'm going to review those initial verse, but quickly. I think most you guys have been in the class. Mark has watched it later on. Mark is having internet signal problems as well. He's coming and going. So we will see. We live in this virtual world. If we lose the internet one day, we're going to feel so isolated, huh? Let's hope it does not happen. Verse 1 to 2. If in a daydream, a man imagines himself taken, harassed and beaten up and tortured by an enemy, he will suffer until he dismisses it as a daydream. So far, so good. So he just suffered while he was in the nightmare, right? And then all was good. Will he continue to be bound to the enemy who was torturing him in the daydream once it is dismissed as a dream? So it is the veil of ignorance. Now, will he continue to be bound by the enemy after the dream is dismissed with the enemy and all the torture? So he will not be bound to that kind of tragic experience. He is not. He's free from that because he realized that that was a dream. So the veil of ignorance projects reality to the nightmare during the daydream. In the same way, it projects reality in our wakeful state by the power of Maya Shakti. So we see the world and we immediately, intuitively, we establish a relationship with the world in the manner that the objects serve the purpose of to complete me. And then I begin chasing the objects. And then I find myself bound, dependent, and attached to the world. So bondage is attachment to the world of objects that somehow, unconsciously or subconsciously, I believe that they were designed to complete me. This is really cruel. This set up, Maya, and it's set up. It's almost like, cruel in the sense that it's so counterintuitive to understand that the objects of mere appearance within myself. And it's so easy to take them to a real and a source of resolution or happiness or satisfaction or freedom to the extent that I consume it, that I develop the power to have everything I want. Such is the power of ignorance. Such is the power of Maya, avidya. Or even from the very beginning, there has been no bondage. You are not tied to anything, but you feel that you are tied to infinite cycles of experience, which can be seen in the macrocosmic level as birth and death, birth and death. From the standpoint of the micro interpretation, according to Ramji, it's more like I'm bound to the cycle of one experience after the other experience after the other experience. They keep coming and I keep selecting them and I keep getting attachment to the ones that I like and another sort of attachment to the ones I don't like. Which kind of attachment? Oh, I'm attached to what I don't like as well, because I keep thinking about that. I don't want it to repeat. So everybody's deluded by this superimposition. And one needs to come down to the level of inquiry into the very nature of bondage. What is this bondage? Though we looked into that last class as well. The strongest obstacle is the certainty that I am bound. It is as false as the fearful nightmare of the frightened child, as referred before, or the guy having a daydream of being harassed and tortured. So it seems real. It seems that I am subject to that experience, and the experience is affecting my existence. But it's just a dream. It's just a superimposition on myself. So the obstacle is to believe firmly that this world is real and I'm bound to the world. I have my expectations of the world, my desires, my attachments, my dependence, and that puts us in a very difficult condition, a situation in which, we are all the time experiencing insecurity and incompletion. So even the best of men cannot find peace, regardless of any amount of effort, unless this certainty that I depend on the world is destroyed. Yeah, it's a strong one. Who can stand and say, I do not depend on the world? I don't depend on people. I don't depend on things and circumstances. Yeah, I don't depend on anything. How so? No, because I'm free, independent, limitless consciousness. Yeah? I don't depend on anything of this world. So this is a tough one to be established, but the scriptures are all the time trying to help us to understand this simple truth. What is this bondage? How can the pure, uncontaminated absolute self be shackled by what look like images on the mirror of the self? Just like that, it's just a superimposition, projection of different namarupas on that which is the substantial nature, ultimate substantial nature of the universe, which is Brahman or Satchitananda. But it appears as a diversity of images like reflections in a mirror. And what is this bondage? How can this self be limited by this? To imagine that the self is shackled by mental projections is to imagine that the fire reflecting a mirror has the power to burn the mirror. There is absolutely no bondage beyond the foolish certainty that you are bound and the difference of entity created by the mind. So I am the individual Jiva Atma, and I am the body-mind. I'm bound to the body, bound to the objects around me. I depend on everything. And you do depend on a certain level, but you do not depend on another level. This needs to be understood. On the practical level, we depend on a few things. So our inferior nature as the body-mind construct depends on a house, some food, shelter, food, and warm clothes if we live in a colder environment. So this dependence, they are not a problem. The problem of psychological dependence, to be psychologically bound to people, place, things, and events. Because we need to understand that is the psychological bound that creates problem. Until you understand that there is no bondage beyond this misconception in regards to what you really are. Because the problem is always a problem of identity. If I misidentify myself as the body, and then I'm very, very fragile, dependent, vulnerable, insecure, because life can be taken away from the body at any moment, you know? So the only problem here, the bondage, is only due to this mistaken identity as the insecure, limited body. And you are an independent, separate entity from the ocean. Until these two blemishes are washed away by the holy waters of self-investigation, neither I nor Brahma, nor the Creator, the Vishnu, nor Shiva, nor even Tripura, the goddess of wisdom, will be able to help a person to be emancipated. Okay, I am a separate, independent wave in the ocean. I don't accept my nature as the ocean and much less as water. And the moment that I take myself to be a wave, I become dependent on what? On the ocean and on the water. And I'm also traumatized with the idea that sooner or later, my nature as a wave is going to vanish, you know, because the waves, they come and go. Yeah? So am I bound to the ocean? Am I bound to Ishvara? Yes and no. So the wave is bound to the ocean in the sense that the ocean is the immediate nature of the wave. But on a deeper level, the moment that the wave understands that I am water, of the same nature of the ocean as water, and then I'm no longer dependent on the ocean. No? And then the wave is a wise wave who says, I am the water, and so is the ocean. Water is the only reality here. Ocean and waves are superimpositions on myself because now I have claimed myself to be pure water. So I'm bound to Ishvara and the word to the extent that I hold to this certainty. I am a wave. I am an impermanent wave. You know? So until these two things are washed away in the whole waters of the investigation in the nature, into the nature of ocean and water, nobody, no, not even Shiva, Brahman, Vishnu will be able to help the person. So the question is, how am I going to free myself from these misconceptions? I am the impermanent wave. And even if I submit my mind, my intellect to these teachings, still, you know, this ignorance is persistent. This identity with the body is designed to create a sense of self-preservation and preservation of the species as well, and it has to be transcended. It's the animal aspect of our human experience. Again, we remember Shimaya saying that we have to move from the man-animal, man-man, and man-God. So it's possible that we come from the animal reign, and then we are born as human beings, but we have a lot of animal instinct within ourselves, including this identity, I am the body and I need to fight to preserve it. So how are we going to remove this ancient ignorance? We do that with the help of the scriptures, the teacher, and a lot of consistent, persistent, systematic work to offset this cosmic beginningless ignorance, which seems at times to be cruel or a perversion on the side of Maya, as James sometimes puts. So the mind will shine as the self if the mind be denuded of these limiting thoughts crowding, and the sense of duality will cease to exist, and the mind will understand that I am not an individual wave, but I am water. I am not a reflected consciousness. I am original limitless consciousness. My existence does not depend on this body. This body depends on my existence. Mind is nothing but sectional knowledge of this and that. So just walk away from objective knowledge and go for self-knowledge, which is the pure knowledge, which will liberate the Jiva Atma from this mistaken identity. As far the well-known example of the hallucination of the snake in the rope is real and the snake is unreal. So this is a nice one. The rope is real, the snake was a superimposition. We make that mistake from time to time. Once we see the rope, the snake as a rope, and then we are free. And then here the author presents a very nice point. He says, even after you have understood in that moment of clarity, more light, that the snake is but the rope, yeah? And then the hallucination is dismissed. But still within the rope, there is a potential, contains potentiality of the recurrence of the same hallucination in the same person even, and even more on other people. Such is the power of this ignorance, such is the power of Maya, to, again, yeah, project apparent reality to deceive even the yoni sometimes. So there is a potential for the recurrence. The danger is always there until the rope is recognized as what? As the self. So the only way to dismiss misconception, which includes misconceptions of identity, is to understand that there is only one identity in everything, which is consciousness of Brahman. Satchitananda is the only thing there is. Because otherwise we're going to be just wave, water, wave, water, wave and water. I take myself to be wave and then I rest. And then the sense of being a wave comes back, and then again I suffer. And then I take myself to be the wave, and then I feel at peace again. This will go on. This is karma yoga. It does not free the individual until the wave becomes aware that I am water, and the ocean and the wave depends on me, and I'm free and independent, not bound to them. Then objectivity totally ceases and pure knowledge alone remains. Self-knowledge is a pure knowledge, the only knowledge that's pure in the sense that's not subject to error. Any objective knowledge is relative to the knower, because everybody is going to know according to one's capacity, perception, and inference. And although that knowledge is never free from error, again and again we need to reveal scientific knowledge and correct them, revise them. So the duality, the complete annihilation of duality is only possible when this pure knowledge, which is self-knowledge, remains. And then there is no way I can mistake. I can mistake everything every time. To make a reading of the field is incredibly difficult. Again and again, you misapprehend things, you misinterpret things, and then you run into some karma, some little things here and there. Why? Because nobody is able to understand really what's going on. But there is one knowledge, only one knowledge, which is pure and not subject to error. in terms of interpretation, in terms of reading, of anything. So phenomenal objective knowledge is not pure knowledge, it's relative knowledge, not the absolute knowledge, it's relative knowledge. So once you understand that, and then you move into the other direction, you go for self-knowledge, and then you understand that the self is the only reality, and self-knowledge is the only pure knowledge. And then the belief that reality is duality is destroyed. The sense of duality persists because there is the conviction of purposefulness of the objective world, but such purposefulness and durability is experienced even in dreams. So now the author here presents, Dattatreya presents here another point. We believe that duality is reality because the things serve certain purpose. There is a purposeful value in the world, utilitarian value in the objects of the world. And there is a sense of durability as well in these objects, the way they are structured here in this density of that we call physical matter. But purposefulness and even durability, even though it's much shorter, is experienced also in the dreams. And we have no problem to disregard or regard the dream as false. The difference between dreams and the wakeful state lies in the fact that in the waking state, the dream is determined to be false. Whereas in the dream, the waking state is not so determined. This is also very nice. We take the wakeful state to be real because from the wakeful state, we can dismiss the dream state as a mere projection of my mind. Somehow, people do not think that my mind is projected. They don't think about things on that level. Oh, I had a dream. But so what is a dream? How does it happen? Nobody makes themselves such a question. Well, you need to be an inquirer to be attracted to these teachings. So we, from the wakeful state, we take the dream with no problem to be unreal. Why? Because I can determine from the awake state, but I can determine that from the awake state because in the wakeful state, I have my mind attached to the physical body and the instruments of knowledge and experience. And it is structured in such a way that provides me with the intellect to revise my experience and determine certain things, including the level of reality of this or that experience. So I can, in retrospective, look into my dream and say, no, it was just a dream. But in the dream, I can never access my wakeful state so that I can also dismiss it as unreal. Why? Because in the dream state, I don't have a full instrument of knowledge, which is the physical body attached to the mind and intellect and its faculty of discerning, determining, and connecting the dots. None of that is available. I'm not structured to use my brain and all the physical instruments of the body. So that's why the jiva is an experiencer knower when it is associated with the physical body. And then he can process experience and have it on a conscious level through this intellect, which is processing experience and gaining certain knowledge, understanding, extracting some understanding, comprehension of what's going on. So in the dream state, we don't have that intellect. We don't. We are just, I was saying, it's not compulsively, intuitively, it's more like, I forget the word. We just respond to them instinctively. We have instinct to survival as well in the dream state. And it's the most frustrating thing. The other day I had a dream that something was running after me and I'm trying to run, and I was not running enough. And I was sleeping and Silva was and then I started like, oh, and then she shakes me a little bit. I want to run a little bit faster, So our intellect is really poor in the dream state. And how about examining our wakeful state from the dream state to determine that the wakeful state is but another dream? So the intellect will never get there. Not even the wakeful state, the intellect can understand that this wakeful world is but a projection. Just imagine in the dream state where our intellectual faculty is very poor. A wakeful and consciousness does not intervene in dreams, nor does the dream consciousness intervene in the wakeful. While the two factors, enduring nature and purpose, are common to both. Both, that expression that James likes to put, what happens, it's a saying in Las Vegas that says, so you can come have fun here, nobody will know what you really did in here. Okay, a lot of stupid things. So what happens in Vegas remains in Vegas. So what happens in the dream state remains in the dream state. What happens in the wakeful state remains here. So they don't intervene with one another. They are two suborders of the same meteor order of reality. In one of them, we have our intellect at full capacity to do some work. In the dream, we don't. But in spite of that, in both, there is a sense of time and space and purposefulness of what the objects are in both worlds. So see it for yourself, examine it, either the state of your dreams and the wakeful as well. Again, note the appearance of reality in magical phenomena and the seemingly purposeful actions of magical creation. Does reality rest on the slender slender is like modest, no, or slight. Does reality rest on this, no, the simple base of this simple appearance? I think it's more on those things. Those are just appearance. The confusion is due to lack of discrimination between what is real and unreal among ignorant, self-ignorant people. Ignorantly, indeed, do they say that the wakeful universe is real. So this is the case with most human beings, as we know, until you comes to Vedanta. Reality must endure forever and ever. That which is never not present. Consciousness either is or is not. If you say that the consciousness is, it is obvious. Yeah? We don't need to discuss. If we say consciousness is, okay, how you know? Because I am. But if I say consciousness is not, I'm implying my conscious existence to determine that consciousness is not. So nothing escapes consciousness. Therefore, consciousness cannot be established to be something transitory, either in the affirmation of existence and the affirmation of the non-existence. Consciousness is that in which the both affirmations occur. I am and I am not. Oh, you are not. Yeah. I mean, you remember that English guy that makes money doing those things about taking people in this audience and say, I don't know if he still does that. You don't exist, I do not exist, and this and that. And 10 years ago, he was already an older man. I don't know if he's still doing that. But how can you go on the stage and attract people who pays money? Used to be £100 to meet him. And then hundreds of people, and he's just saying, you don't exist, I don't exist. Nothing exists. The reality is that there is nothing. How can you say that there is nothing, that you don't exist, if you approve of your existence? Oh, no, but you are just a dream. You are just, a projection. But how do I know that this body-mind is a projection? So I can say the body-mind does not exist, seen from a certain perspective of the self, but I can never deny the self. I can never deny conscious existence and say that nothing exists, that the reality is nothingness, the void. This is total misunderstanding of the laws regarding the nature of Mithya and Satya. In sentient matter is diverse in nature, and its impermanence is obvious. For one object excludes all others. So if you say that consciousness is transient, it's transitory, or it's sometimes on, sometimes off, is one thing. And Vedanta says, no, you are totally mistaken. But if you say that the matter is different and its impermanence is obvious, because everything that appears disappears. And furthermore, even before it disappears, one object excludes all others. Like you cannot be one thing without excluding the potential of being other things as well. But can you conceive the absence of consciousness anywhere at any time? No. If you say that there is no consciousness in sleep, so tell me how you know that there was no dream during your sleep. How you know that you were not there at all? So to know that there was no experience, there were no experience there, you must be present, so that in retrospect, you know. If you would be totally ignorant, totally unaware, we would you'll not be able to say, I was not aware. I was not aware of any dream implies what? That I am there, but not experiencing any dream object. But the I is always there. There is only one I, appearing as Tripura, the three states. How was this unawareness illumined for you? So I'm unaware of object. There is only empty space. So how do I know that there is only empty space? Consciousness is there, but I discount consciousness like we discount even in the wakeful state, because it is too ordinary, to use the expression of Ramji. It's easy to discount it. We take it for granted. Therefore, you cannot escape the conclusion that there must be consciousness, even to know that there is nothing and I'm not aware of anything. There is no moment when consciousness is not ever always present. I shall now tell you briefly the difference between reality and unreality. The existence of reality is self-evident and does not require other help, other aids to reveal it. So the existence of reality is that which is, the isness of everything, and does not require any help because it's self-contained. Unreality is the contrary. Unreality depends on reality. as we will see here. And it comes and goes. And its true nature is not self-evident, but it is hidden by the power of Maya. If you say, however, that the thing is real until and unless its existence is contradicted, consider the example of a coil of rope being mistaken for a snake. You say, no, I have a point here. There is such a thing as unreality, yeah? And unreality exists until it is contradicted. So I mistakenly experience something as something else, and unless it's proved to be contrary, okay, that existence exists. So did the snake ever exist? No, again, a misunderstanding. This analysis does not take in account the Vyavaharika and the Pratibhasika. There are two different ways, another way to look at the two orders of reality. Well, my Pratibhasika, I produce the dream world. Vyavaharika produce the field, the Dharma field on which I interact with other objects. So the rope exists until it's proved to be, the snake exists until it's proved to be a rope. No, it never exists. The fenced snake would, according to you, be real in the interval until somebody comes and reveals to you that was a rope. But that is absurd, because we understand this analogy and we know that there was never ever a snake. And likewise, there was never ever the universe, but it is a superimposition produced by Maya. It's the whole humanity is holding this projection of reality so that we can work through this apparent reality to extract reality from seeing it. Furthermore, if contradiction means non-existence, the mental image of a thing contradict must be admitted, and that means that the thing verbally denied is mentally admitted. So if I go to contradict a certain perception, it means that non-existent, the mental image of a thing, contradict must be admitted, and that means that the thing verbally denied is mentally admitted. Therefore, contradiction leads nowhere and does not determine the unreality of a thing, nor does the appearance of a thing determine its reality. Appearance and contradiction are both intermediate. Okay, intermediate between appearance and the whole Vedanta is based on this teaching. The mechanics of Vedanta is projection and denial and negation. Projections and negation, projection and negation. So we see the world, we take it to be real, and then Vedanta negates it. So the appearance of the world and negation of the world are both intermediate. But this is all happening within what? Within consciousness. This is Vedanta. Projection and negation, projection and negation. You remember this tool of Vedanta, the most fundamental tool of Vedanta, which is negation and projection.
Is that the Adyaropa Apavada? Yeah.
According to me, there is nothing beyond the range of consciousness. Even the consciousness that there is nothing cannot exist. even the consciousness that is not cannot exist beyond the scope or the range of consciousness. Therefore, he who denies consciousness must be nothing but a dry logician. So there is a lot of dry logicians, developing philosophies around this such subject like this one. It does not take people anywhere. These dry arguments is again and again in our text said to be just like a dry bones that is not going to offer any juice. Dry logicians, dry logic, philosophy. He may as well deny himself and say, I am not. Then who speaks? And what does he say? That guy, the English guy, I am not. So who is speaking? Who is saying, I am not? If he denies himself out of incompetence and stupidity, how he can teach others and remove their ignorance by the force of his logic? Then this rock before me could equally do the same. So this, Dattatreya, thousands of years ago, is just exposing this English guy who goes around or used to go around say, I am not, I don't exist. I deny my very existence and your very existence out of incompetence. And I want to teach others these philosophies. The philosophy of the void. There's nothing. So it's like a rock trying to teach humanity. Therefore, the appearance of a thing and its utility do not determine the reality of a thing, or otherwise. The appearance of a thing and its utility do not determine the reality of a thing, or no reality. They belong to media. They have utilitarian values, available for experience in this apparent order of reality. They are available for experience. Right? But how many things we experience things that do not exist, such as the snake on the rope? We experience it and we suffer. So we experience a lot of things that are not really there. We experience a blue sky, but the blue sky is not really there. Many, many things we experience, which is, it's proved to be unreal. Therefore, the appearance of things does not prove. We have to be careful with perception and inference through perceptions because they easily lead to misapprehension of reality, All knowledge is secondary and unreliable. All knowledge is relative, secondary, and unreliable. There is no doubt about it. It's just delusion to believe that knowing the phenomenal object is going to give me freedom is the greatest delusion. On a more rudimentary level, we believe that enjoying certain experience was going to bring us security and liberation and freedom and peace and love and happiness. And on another level, for the intellectuals, they move to the world of phenomenal objective knowledge. But here, Dattatreya says that no knowledge will help the human beings because every knowledge is not reliable. There is no doubt about that. But he did not say anything yet about self-knowledge, which is the only knowledge that once you know it, is not subject to doubt. I have a friend of mine in California. It's so funny this thing. I'm going to share something with you because I know that you will never look into those things. People, it's more than one. They get to know me or they know me from the past on a personal level. And then they hear, they say, Naga Arlindo is teaching some things there, blah, blah, blah. But they see me as just, this is just intellectual BS. And then keep sending me materials on how to go the step way into enlightenment, and then he keeps suggests things for me because he believes that I'm deluded, believing that I am free, although I don't talk about that. But when he started teaching me, I just send a note saying like, no, I'm okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm not looking for enlightenment because I'm the light, things like that. So he keeps sending these things to me. He did send more today. And I asked him, it's useless. So, and I tell him there is only one knowledge that's going to help you. There is only one experience, which is the experience of identity as conscious existence. And of course, he does not get it. So there is only one knowledge, and this knowledge is self-knowledge. And people are so extroverted towards experience, sensory experience, that they are deluded. They believe that knowing more is going to remove their sense of limitation or their suffering. Knowing more. And now I know things on the esoterical, New Age, and all this garbage of spiritual samsara. So there is one knowledge which is not subject to doubt, and it's the most simple knowledge. And people have a hard time to believe that that is not just intellectual delusion. If somebody has self-knowledge and tells people there is something which is the solution, but it's not about experiencing mystical or esoteric dimension, it's just about knowledge, but it's self-knowledge, not objective knowledge. It's just self-knowledge, to know yourself. You give a certain hint to people, but they keep believing that you need to be saved because you are deluded. You understand? It's a very funny position to be. I have other guys who here and there present this challenge to me, and I don't challenge them. I say I only talk spirituality with my students. I don't exchange concepts because I don't have any concept. I just teach the scriptural concepts. A hallucination holds the field in the interval antecedent to correct knowledge, in the same way as it does when we mistake a shiny mother of pearl for a piece of silver. So there is delusion there. No? It's there, it holds a certain interval. Yeah? And then we correct our perception. Yeah? And then the mother of pearl is seen, the silver coin is seen as a mother of pearl. So also the mistake of the reality of the universe persists until primary and base self-knowledge is realized. Until self-knowledge is fully and clearly realized, we take the body and the world to be real. And you take yourself to be the body-mind, which constantly requires maintenance and consumption of more experience and more objects to be satisfied. This false sense is universal, is imposed by the powerful Maya, the powerful trickist, delusional trickist, like the blue color of the sky, and it will end simultaneously with the realization of I am pure limitless consciousness. So it remains. It remains until you realize, oh, the sky is not really blue because I have a certain scientific knowledge now. The idea that the universe is real and I am the body-mind persists until the very end with the realization of I am pure limitless consciousness. conscious existence of limitless nature. Only that knowledge will simultaneously end the ignorance. The world is real, and I am the body-mind. You cannot have both. Some people, I notice in my Brazilian civic that some people, they want to hold both. No, I want to have the knowledge, I am consciousness. And then I tell people the obstacle here is that you still invest in your identity as the body-mind. So you want to have both. Oh, no, I want to be a great body-mind, but I want to be consciousness and be, how to say, be a great yoni, a great enlightened being. But I want to hold both. But no, one has to go so that the other can be claimed. You cannot hold both. So the aham Brahma, aham body mind as me needs to go simultaneously with the realization aham Brahma as me. I have now answered all your questions, Parasurama. Do not waver, but make up your mind at once. It's so powerful, so beautiful. Yeah. I have been teaching you. I have answered all your questions. Make up your mind now, at once. I shall enlighten you further on the point you raised with regard to the activities of yonis. Yonis may be classified as one, the best, the middle class, and the lowest. Of these, the last know the self. The lowest is know the self, and yet they are under the influence of pleasure and pains accruing to them according to their prarabdha. So what it means, the lowest individual with self-knowledge, the lowest of all yonis, they have a certain conviction, I am free, limitless consciousness, and I know it firsthand because I went through that stage. But still, desires and fears are somehow still creating some problem and challenging that knowledge that I'm free and independent from my experience. But then old vasanas, hardwired vasanas are coming, no? According to one's karma, and then manifesting to be burned in the light of self-knowledge, in the fire of self-knowledge. That is the process in which further purification takes place. That's James used to relate to initial phase in which people, they suffer from enlightenment sickness because they think that they are enlightened, but they appear to be sick. Why? Because they got the knowledge, but yet they want to be famous, they want to teach their friends, teach the world, they want to be recognized. And like I was, so there is some ignorance still influence one's mind and creating problem. That is the karma. Past karma is going to be burned. For the yoni, that is not even prarabdha karma. Sanchita is burned. Agami is a void, and prarabdha as well is not claimed to be mine. So you just watch everything to be burning in the fire of self-knowledge. Gradually, yonis of the higher order, yonis of the middle order, even while reaping the fruits of their past karma, are, however, firmer in their internal happiness, like men inebriated with drink. So there is a yonis of the middle class, that even when there are some karmas operating, it has a certain certainty of self-knowledge, and not only it has the knowledge so firmly imprinted in his mind that he automatically, effortlessly, it keeps burning this past karma, this prarabdha. Okay, so the karma is coming and the nidhyasana is happening almost effortlessly. No? That's the point. The yoni in the first class, it needs to certain discipline and effort to apply nididhyasana. In the middle class yoni, the past karma may be coming, some tendencies are coming there, and almost like effortlessly, it's being burned because they are firm and the knowledge is firm. The knowledge is firmer in their internal happiness, which is eternal conviction of Aham Brahmasmi. The yonis of the highest order are never detached from the bliss, the certainty. I am free, limitless. I'm totally independent from the body-mind experience. Even when I am confronted with a million times more prarabdha or papa karma, let's say, even if a yoni of the higher order, even if it is confronted with extreme papa, which is a byproduct of one's prarabdha manifesting, the yoni of the highest order is unaffected, is firm. They are not surprised at most unnatural and miraculous happenings, so they are not deceived by the power of Maya. They are not deceived from any of these seed powers or psychic powers that may emerge in one's mind. They are not elated by the greatest pleasures. So they are not elated by being respected and loved by others. They don't experience this. He's not subject to that. He's equanimous in respect to what other people are going to appreciate. And if life is very pleasant, good. If it's not, he's not depressed. Even in the presence of the worst possible adversity, misery. These yonis of the highest order are always peaceful and calm within, although they appear to act like common folk. So it gives us a certain hint to evaluate where we are. No? I call it moksha meter. There are different ways to evaluate our self-knowledge. No? These differences are due to the difference in their intellect and to the degree of development of this self-knowledge, jnana, wisdom. So this difference is real. There is only one knowledge, but it manifests in the human intellect in different ways, depending on the nature, the quality of each one intellect, and the degrees of development of this self-knowledge, of this wisdom. It's gradual. Self-actualization is a gradual process. It's conversion of self-knowledge into moksha, into freedom from misery or suffering. Their activities, the activities of these highest levels, depend on their predispositions as determined by their past karma. But all their actions are like those of a drunken man. So this analogy of a drunken man, who drank the nectar of self-knowledge, it points to something very simple, that this expression of being drunk with the nectar may be a little bit misleading. It's just an inner peace and happiness, satisfaction, without having to drink ayahuasca or anything else. You understand? Or take any drug. It's just okay, happy. He has a good mood for most of the time, a light heart. Thus ends the 18th chapter of the Tripura Rahasya. It was a long one, but very, very profound and beautiful. And I'm happy we made it, the four of us. Next class, we begin from the chapter 19. Anything from you?
I was just thinking about that person who said he wanted to be what did you say, a great human being as well as a Yanni. Yeah, he wanted to have both. And to my mind, the greatest human being is totally resolved in Ishwara. Just absolutely Ishwara rules, you know. So I don't think there's a conflict there.
No. Very well put. Very nicely put. Yeah. The ego, the human ego, has to resolve itself in Ishwara because it's not going to disappear. The body mind is going to remain. But then you understood who's the boss in Mitya, and then you conform to the laws and principles. You know? Very nice. But that people, what was I was pointing to are people that somehow they want what they believe to be the final resolution or the final solution for the human condition with self-knowledge. But meanwhile, they want to enjoy samsara, the pleasures of samsara, you know. So they are invested in the pleasure of samsara, and the way, the journey is exactly like you say, become a karma yogi, so that you have the complete spiritual knowledge, the Mitya knowledge and the Satya knowledge. This is the complete knowledge. This is complete self-knowledge. Otherwise, you may have only one. Mitya knowledge without Satya knowledge is incomplete. And Satya knowledge without Mitya knowledge, Satya knowledge with Mitya knowledge is impossible. Is impossible, nearly impossible in the words, in the logic of Swami Paramarthananda, although there are a lot of people claiming that they have such a knowledge without any knowledge in respect of the creator. Now they don't consider the existence of Ishvara at all. That is more like a spiritual materialism, as I put. But some people claim to be free. Yeah? Who knows? Anything from you, Mark?
I was thinking of the analogy of the drunken man. And I was thinking maybe also they're referring to him as a drunken man because he doesn't act the way society expects him to act necessarily. He's free in his actions.
Yeah, that can be said as well. Yeah. But he should never drive a car or something like that. That could be dangerous. Okie dokie. Hello, Sylvia. Say a word for us, please.
Hello. I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. We meet again this coming Thursday, okay, as usual. And I will send a note in the WhatsApp. Bye-bye.
Great. Thank you, Arlindo. Great satsang.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Sylvia.